the year of the horse today and to learn more
Mhm.
about the Chinese calendar and how it works. And my guest, hopefully you'll be some familiar with, it's Moni Castaneda. And I'll read a little bit of her bio for those who don't know Moni. And Moni is a Feng Shui consultant, a speaker, and an author who has devoted over 2 decades to the study and practice of Feng Shui. She blends her knowledge of Western architecture with Eastern Feng Shui to help clients turn their current homes into dream homes that support them in every area of their lives. The result of working with Moni is a life you love in a home that makes you proud. Feng Shui is an ancient yet modern energy healing modality that can change your money flow, your relationships and family, and your health. By shifting some furniture and decor, you can shift your life in wonderful ways. And today we are learning about the 2026 energies of the year of the fire horse and how they may influence us and bring change to the world. And just a little bit more about the feng shui that Moni practices. It was what it was intended to be as by the old masters, a branch of ancient Chinese medicine. And she created a method based on East Asian principles of healing. She has written several feng shui manuals or how-to books, and her most recent books talks about the why of feng shui, why it's so important to be aware of and have control over your home and environment. And in the description, you'll find her link to her website, 9 Steps to Feng Shui, and also the links to Amazon for her books on Feng Shui. And so, welcome, Moni.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very, very welcome. I enjoyed our conversation a couple weeks ago on how
Mhm.
tying in feng shui with resolutions or our intentions. And so I was wondering if, before you dive into the year of the fire horse, could you explain just a little more about how in general, the Chinese calendar works
Yeah,
and how it plays in with the 5 elements and stuff?
yeah. So the Chinese calendar is a lunar calendar. So it is based on what nature is doing, right? And so it that's why it starts a little bit different every year. So it's not always a set date like our Western year starts on January 1st, but it changes because it adapts to the lunar calendar. And in China, they have kind of a horoscope, right? But it's not like our horoscope that is based on what month you were born, like you're a Taurus, you're a Gemini, you're a Pisces, but it is based on what year you were born. And there are 12 signs that they start with the rat, then the ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. And the year that has a certain animal as marking the energy of the year. If you're born in that year, then they'll say you are an ox, you're a goat, you're a rooster, right? And they cycle every 12 years, right? So you have one year the rat, the next one the ox, the next one the tiger, and so forth. And then you start over with the rat, ox, tiger. And every time that you get a repetition of the same animal, you are changing the element. So you have 12 signs, but you also have 5 elements, and the elements are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And so one year you have, for example, the year of the water ox. 12 years later is going to be the year of the wood ox.
Okay.
12 years later is going to be the year of the fire ox. 12 years later, earth ox. And 12 years later, metal ox. And
Okay.
12 years more, you get again the water ox. And that happens every 60 years, right? So you only repeat the same combination of the animal and the element every 60 years. So the people who turn 60 years old this year of the fire horse, they are fire horses. So the cycles repeat every 60 years, right?
Okay.
There's a really cute story about um, how this horoscope started, right? So the legend says that long ago, there was no way to keep track of time. and the Jade Emperor or Emperor of Heaven called a contest for all the animals in the kingdom to come over. And then the 12 first animals to arrive would have a place in the Chinese horoscope. In order to get to the emperor, they had to cross a large, fast river. So the first animal to get there was the ox. And he gets to the shore and is about to cross the river when the rat says, "Look at me, I'm so little. If I try to cross the river by myself, I will die. Let me climb on your back." And so the ox takes pity on the rat, and the rat climbs on his back, and then the ox crosses the river. Then from the river runs to the temple or to the palace. And right as the ox is about to get to the emperor, say, "Hey, I'm here first," the rat jumps and becomes first.
Hmm.
So then the tiger comes in as third, and the tiger just swam across the river because he's a really good swimmer. The rabbit crossed the river by jumping from rock to rock and became the fourth animal. Even though he's little, he's very resourceful. The dragon flew, right? And the emperor was like, "Why were you not first?" And I didn't cross
Yeah.
the river.
Yeah.
And the dragon was fifth because he stopped along the way to make rain and help all beings on earth. The next animal was the snake. That was the year that we're ending, right? So the snake was six because it coiled itself around the horse's hoof and sprang up before it as the horse was arriving at the palace. So before the horse got in the water, the snake coiled itself around its leg. The horse crossed the river, ran to the palace, and as he was arriving, the snake slid off and became the sixth animal, and then the horse was the seventh. And it's interesting to note here that the horse didn't even notice that this was happening, right? That's something you have to think about, right? Because it's going to be something that marks this year. Number 8 was the goat, 9 was the monkey, and 10 was the rooster. And the way they got to cross the river was by cooperating. The goat, the monkey, and the rooster. They made and shared a raft, so they got through the river, engaging in cooperation. Then number 11 was the dog. Even though the dog was really fast, it was a large dog, right? He was a really good swimmer. It was 11th because it was muddy, and after crossing the river, he decided to take a very long bath and then enjoy himself. And then that's why he was 11th. And then just as the emperor was about to call it a day, the pig arrived. He had gotten hungry during the race, stopped to eat, and then took a nap. It woke up barely with enough time to make it to the palace. Now, in some countries, I believe it's in Vietnam, number 4, they changed the rabbit for the cat.
Hmm.
And in the original Chinese history, the rat tricked the cat. And I don't remember exactly how it tricked it, but that's why the cat didn't make it. And according to that, that's why the cat always goes after rats. Yeah. And so the reason I'm telling this story is because the way each animal arrived or basically crossed the river, right? That shows what the animal is like and what the energy of the year is going to be like. And so remember the horse, very fast, a good swimmer, didn't notice that he had a passenger and lost his place because he didn't pay attention, right? So each of these animals that make the Chinese horoscope has an element. So the element of the horse is fire. The horse is fire. No matter what year the horse was born, the horse is fire.
Okay.
Regardless, right? And so
Mhm.
the energy of the fire of this year increases all of the characteristics of the horse. And so if you think about a horse, there's two versions of a horse, right? There's the horse in the wild that is very hard to tame,
Mhm.
and there's the domesticated horse. And so the fire horse is a wild horse, and it could be described as a horse that cannot be domesticated,
Okay.
right? And so the energy of the horse, the horse is very, very strong. And once the horse decides, a wild horse, If a wild horse decides on a destination, it's going to run until that destination without stopping. And they're going to trample over everything that gets in their way. So it's heightened activity, speed, and nervous momentum. Events unfold quickly, often demanding an immediate response rather than careful deliberation. So there's other years, for example, the year of the ox, that gives you an environment where you have to think carefully before you take any step. But that's not the energy of the horse. The energy of the horse is pushing forward, and there's a sense of urgency. So everything feels like it needs to happen quickly, right? So action over planning. Progress is made through momentum, movement, experimentation, and initiative. So the idea of the horse is that if you start something, then you adjust. Instead of planning or thinking or just having a lot of reflection about what you're going to do, you just start the action and you adjust your actions basically based on what you read from the environment. And so once you set a direction in the year of the horse, you're going to move quickly. So it's important to set directions, because if you don't have a direction, if you don't have goals, you're going to waste the opportunity of moving fast, which is what the year gives you. But you also need to make sure before you start running that you kind of have a good idea of where you want to get. Like, you may not be able to visualize what the end of the road is going to be like, but you have to be clear in what you want and what is important to you. The horse year rewards independence and self-direction. And remember, some horses can be domesticated, but not the fire horse. So we're not talking about a horse that a cowboy is riding. We're not talking about a horse that is helping in the farm. We're not talking about a race horse. We're talking about an independent horse. So emphasis this year is going to be on travel, physical activity, and visible change. And stagnation is going to feel especially uncomfortable. Now, you need to keep up with the pace, right? Things are going to be moving quickly. This is going to be more comfortable for some signs and more uncomfortable for other signs. But basically, the horse is characterized by strength and stamina, leadership and initiative, speed, urgency, and a tendency towards impulsive action. And so far, do you have any questions?
Well, I was wondering how each of the other signs, you'd said, it'll be, the horse might be uncomfortable for some of the other signs. Which of the other signs would most likely be uncomfortable for?
Let me get to that. Before
Okay,
we
sure.
go on, if people go to my website, nicestepstofengshui.com or spacearrangement.com, on the menu, either you're on a desktop, it's going to be at the top. If you're on a phone, it's going to be the 3 lines, right? There's going to be a little icon of a horse, and you can go to that page. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, then you're going to see my recommendations of how each of the signs needs to handle the year,
Oh,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but in general, right, you think about the energy of the different animals. Who's not going to be uncomfortable with speed, right? The tiger is going to be very comfortable with it, the rabbit too, the dragon, the dog. Think about how they cross the river, right?
Right.
The animals that are not going to be so comfortable, also the monkey will be okay with it. Animals that are little or that feel vulnerable, they're afraid of being trampled, so like the rat, the rabbit, are going to feel uncomfortable with that. The goat, the goat loves being at pasture and not enjoying a race. I'm a goat. The snake will be uncomfortable, of course, because the snake has a guilty conscience
Oh,
regarding the horse, right? The pig is going to be uncomfortable because the pig likes to take naps and have enjoyment like that. The rooster is one of those animals that can adapt really quickly to these conditions that are very fast and full of activity, and can also be at rest. So yeah, that is But so if you go to my website, then you're going to be able to see. First of all, if you don't know your sign, on that page you can find your sign, going to the very bottom and finding your year and date of birth. And then, when you go to each of the animals near the bottom of the page, you're going to see the characteristics of each animal, like what is the animal known for. And then you are going to see Chinese Year of the Fire Horse 2026 for each of the animals. And
Okay.
it's a little, it's a cute little summary that's going to tell you your role. What is your role in this year? What is your key action? And what's your crucial advice for this year? So I've made it very systematized this year so people can just go very quickly and have some takeaways, right? In the future, in the next few weeks, I'm also going to be sharing what it's going to be like for each animal very much in depth. But let's play with this a little bit. What is your sign?
Well, I don't know.
Okay. Huh?
I haven't gone to look.
Oh, so when is your birthday?
1961,
So your birthday is 1961, and what month?
February.
And what date?
Well, the 7th.
Okay, so from January 28th of 1960 to February 14th of 1961, and that it would include February 7, right?
Okay.
So you are a metal rat, and it's a yang energy, right? And so
Okay.
now, when we think about the rat in the West, we're very prejudiced against the rat, but in Asian culture, the rat is actually very admired because they are considered extremely intelligent and resourceful, and they tend to be very smart and cunning. They tend to do well with money and are generally good in business. um, their tendency, if you want to look at it like in the not so cool things about the rat, is they like to hide things, but it's because
Hmm.
they're little, right? They're little and they need to be strategic in what they show to the world and what they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
so the the strengths in the life areas for the rat are career, life mission, individuality, because they can be very focused on money making, and wealth, prosperity, self worth, because they like to accumulate. The rats like to have a stock of things for the future.
Hmm.
They tend to struggle in life areas two: marriage, relationships, and partnerships, because of their tendency to be selfish, and helpful people, spiritual life, and travel, because they get too confident in their own abilities or they become too cynical about life, right?
Hmm.
So that's just a little bit because I'm sharing this because you didn't know what was your sign
Right.
and any
Right.
characteristics, right? But the year of the
Mm-hmm.
fire horse is one of open, galloping momentum, the opposite of the rat's subtle and strategic nature. So your
Okay.
power lies not in leading the charge, but in profiting from its dynamics.
Okay.
Your role is to be the indispensable advisor or quiet financier operating from the shadows.
Hmm.
Use your cunning for flawless due diligence and perfect timing. The crucial advice for you this year is to counteract your tendency for secrecy with conscious transparency.
Hmm.
Let your intelligence shine as open cleverness to build trust in a year that punishes deception. So remember, the way the rat got to cross the river was by tricking the ox.
Hmm. Right.
And so, and it came from an accurate representation of the rat to herself, that she was too little to try and do it by herself, right? So
Hmm.
when a person was born in the rat year, they are very conscious of their weaknesses, and they tend to feel small compared to the rest of the world.
Hmm.
And some of this tendency to hide or to be cunning is because they feel they have to compensate for a lack of sheer strength, if that makes sense, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
And so it's a survival characteristic. And your key action then in the year of the horse, when the horse energy is galloping, profit within the flow. The moment it stops or pivots, because the horse runs for a long time until it gets tired, then it rests for a little bit, then it runs again, right?
Okay.
So the moment it stops or pivots, be the first to convert risky gains into secure assets.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a lot to be picked energetically in the year,
Yeah. Yeah.
but wait for those moments of peace, right? So the for the rat, it's not a moment to be really um, active, but to be very observant and take action when things are calm instead of taking action when things feel very, very hectic.
Oh,
Right.
huh.
And so
Okay.
it's super, super interesting. And I'll tell you why I do this. I started doing this probably, it hasn't been 12 years because I haven't done two animals twice. I haven't done the analysis of the same animal with a different size. So it hasn't been 12 years. It's probably has been 10 years that I have been doing this. And the reason I did this is because the people on my email list and my followers on the social media channels, they wanted it. And
Hmm.
I realized if I didn't provide it, they were going to go to websites that were full of superstitions that were going to make them afraid and
Hmm.
that were just going to put them in a state of panic about what's going to happen and not give them any resources to navigate the energies of the year. So I started doing this very reluctantly. It's very hard to do. It takes a lot of work, and I just did it because I thought I'd rather give you a very rational analysis of the energies of the year than have you go look for just whatever information you find out there. And even now, like I go to social media, especially like Instagram and TikTok, and I see all these people talking about the year of the horse, and they're completely
Hmm.
missing the mark, most of them. They
Huh.
get the horse right, but they don't get right the combination between the horse and the fire element. So when they talk about the horse, they just talk about any horse, but they don't make it
Okay.
specific to the fire horse, right? And so I started doing this, and about 4 years ago, I just started to get so accurate, because in the beginning I didn't even call it predictions. I just called it analysis or assessment, right?
Hmm.
Because I didn't. I think sometimes people they look at the word prediction like it's something that has to happen, right? And then you can
Hmm.
have those self-realized prophecies, right?
Right.
The last 3 or 4 years, my analysis, my assessments have been so accurate and that it's just unreal. It's uncanny because the more I do it, it is extremely hard to do. But the more I do it, the better I get at it. And
Hmm.
my analysis of the year of the snake last year, I mean, it was spot on.
Huh. Do you
Yeah.
use the I Ching to
I
help you?
I do the Qing to complement. So every year after, and this I learned from the teacher of my mentor, because he would do in a different language. He would do an analysis of the year. Was coming with the year, but he said that everything you can read like the general energies, but to get a sense of what actually is happening in the moment, like in the physical reality, not in the theory.
Hmm.
It's really a good idea to consult the I Ching, the Chinese Book of Changes, to understand, okay, what are the particulars of the present moment. And so I usually do put my analysis of the I Ching results also on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very good. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, thanks for explaining that.
yes, yeah. And going back, to the year of the horse, and so these are not predictions. This is just kind of like what the way the energy is moving, what it seems is going to do that, right? And so um, the horse of fire is a rebellious creature and doesn't like to follow orders and doesn't want to submit to anybody. So
Mhm.
a fire horse person is the happiest when they're their own boss, when they own their own business. And in the year of the fire horse, you're going to see a lot of testing the limits of authority. You're going to see it from the top and from the bottom. So you're going to see a lot of rebellions, even revolutions. I'm not saying for sure revolutions are going to happen, but it's a year where revolutions are more likely to happen. And you're also going to see people who are in government, or people who are in industry or in finances, the people that hold the power. They're also going to try and see what else they can get away with. So there's going to be a testing of the limits from both ends, and that obviously can cause a lot of conflict. This is a year where things can change, and what comes next is something you have never seen before.
Mm.
And so, well, that can be a little bit scary. It also can give you a lot of hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The fire element in Feng Shui is the associated with the heart, and is associated with the image of the emperor. And one of the tenets of Feng Shui in ancient Chinese philosophy is that when the emperor is in alignment with heaven, things go well. And when the emperor is not in alignment with heaven, things crumble.
Mm.
And so in China, historically, the emperor was not the person who held all the power. Is different from all the totalitarian kings that we had for a period in Europe, where the king had all the power and could decide over the life of everybody. In Chinese philosophy, the understanding is that the emperor is like the one that is responsible for everybody.
Mm.
And so if something went wrong, for example, if there was a drought, if there was a plague, whatever was wrong, it would be blamed on the emperor, and the emperor would be deposed.
Okay.
So it's important to understand that.
That might not be fair all the time.
Yeah. Well, in their cosmology, right? If the emperor is not able to respond to the moment, you need a new emperor.
Okay. Hmm.
Even if it's not completely the fault of the emperor, he may have been the right emperor for when circumstances were different, but when circumstances change, that person may not be able to handle things. So you
Mm.
need a new person to handle things, right?
Yeah. Well, in some ways, I was thinking, um, your your what you said about the emperor, how um, if he was in alignment with heaven, it was good. If he wasn't in alignment, it would go bad. And
Yeah,
I was thinking, about being kings or queens or emperors of our own lives, right?
yeah,
Whenever we're in alignment, it is good. When
yes.
we're not, there's more apt for things going wrong.
And what is being in alignment for the individual person, according to Feng Shui? Being in alignment with heaven is doing the things that you offered to do. And there's two sides to this. So when you came into life, there were certain things that you wanted to do for yourself, the things that give you joy. What the Japanese call ikigai, your reason for waking up and going through the day every day. And then there's this other aspect, which is what you're meant to do for others, be and do for others, right? And that's your life missions in Feng Shui, the things that you want for yourself, the things that you were asked to do for others. So when you're doing these things, you're in alignment with heaven. When you're not doing these things, you're not in alignment with heaven. But at a national level, when you're talking about an emperor, or today you would talk about a prime minister, or you would talk about a president, that person needs to be in alignment with the destiny of the nation, with what is the soul of the nation, right? Because every nation, every country was founded around a premise. And the person in charge needs to be in alignment with what the people want to be, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it's really different, because you have countries, you have a country like India that has been there for I don't know how many thousands of years, right? And then on the other hand, you have a country like the United States that is barely over 200 years. And
Mhm.
so in some cases, it's easier to see what is the essence of the country, because it's written somewhere. In other cases, it's
Right.
harder to identify that. But sometimes, for there to be change in a country, like if you really want to see change and that needs to change, you have to change the premise of what made the country.
Mhm.
um,
Okay.
right? And so sometimes the definition a country has of themselves holds them back.
Okay.
And sometimes it's an aspiration that is still something they need to fulfill, and they haven't been able to fulfill yet. And and of course that's going to change. There's some well, let's not get too deep into this, 'cause we could talk about hours for this,
Right.
for hours about this, right? So the thing here too that is important is that in the year of the horse, it's very super important to be in alignment with those missions, right? And if you're not in alignment with those missions, you're going to be hit by karma. Karma is just the law of cause and effect. So, in the year of the horse, consequences for the good things you do are going to be fast, and consequences for bad things you do are also going to be fast. And so, sometimes you may be dealing with a person, or with a country, or with it could be a company, right? That
Mhm.
are doing things that make you feel oppressed. And this is the year where their own actions can be their undoing. So if a company, think for example, like a multinational corporation, if they're doing something that is really harmful to the earth, this is not a year where necessarily they're going to be stopped by the people. This is a year where they will stop themselves because of this fast karma being applied in the year of the horse.
Hmm.
No person or organization can go for a very long time in a state of being unethical.
Mhm.
You cannot persist for a long time, and in that sense, right? And in the year of the horse, this comes. This is like the moment of climax, right? This is when the, the things, when different forces are coming from different places are going to meet each other, and you're going to have to see some results. This is a year where people are going to say, I am tired of waiting. I want to see things happen.
Mhm.
So, one thing that I could see very clearly in the year of the snake was that there was not going to be a recession. And I know by February or March of 2025, a lot of experts were saying there will be a recession. And then certain things happening at the political level and at the financial level that to any reasonable person, they would have told you there's going to be a recession. But it didn't happen. And I had seen that it wouldn't happen because the energy of the snake would not allow it. Now,
Mm.
this year, I can't see it that clearly. I can't
Oh,
see from the energy of the year, I can't see if there's going to be a recession or not. But
oh,
the
okay.
reading for finances is that short-term investments are better in the year of the horse, because in the horse of fire, because you don't know exactly where the energy of the horse is going to end. You can only see a few months ahead. You can see all the way to the end of the year. And so short-term is investments better than long-term deals.
Mm.
And also don't bet the farm, right? And if you make a short-term deal and you make money, don't put the money back into the short-term deal, but move that money to something that is more reliable, more dependable. And
Okay.
what that means for you, for somebody it can be real estate, for somebody it might be some other type of investment. For some people it might be investing in their education, right?
Right.
In making sure that they learn a skill that is going to make them able to make more money in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so what else? So the mindset of the horse is instinct, action, and rooted confidence, right?
Mm.
And the moral imperative of this year is instinct tempered by virtue. A lot of people, I think probably everybody in the world has had a sense of what is gut instinct, right? What is gut
Right.
instinct? Gut instinct is going to be huge in the year of the horse,
Hmm.
but it has to be tempered by virtue, not by advantage, right? And so,
Okay.
because of that karma, the karma hitting fast. So, this means you shouldn't just take any opportunity, but make sure that the things that you embark on are in alignment with your life missions, right?
Mhm.
And so there's a mantra. I have a mantra for the year of the horse of fire, and this act with the heart of a steed, the mind of a general, and the soul of a sage. So,
Mm.
heart of a steed, that means move with passion, courage, and unstoppable forward energy.
mm,
Mind of a general means be strategic, know the terrain, deploy your resources, that would be your experts, wisely, and understand that sudden changes of direction are part of the campaign. So, one important thing in the year of the horse is when things move really quickly, you cannot do everything yourself.
mm,
So,
mhm,
and I don't know if you have heard this term solopreneur,
mhm, right.
right? Like the entrepreneur that does everything. And so my husband used to say, I am head chiropractor and janitor at Genesis Chiropractic. Because he just had to change hats, to do all the different things. And so this is not a year for that. And so, and I know people, who are in business. For example, somebody's like a life coach and they
Mhm,
do their own website, they write their own emails, they send out their own emails, they do all their marketing, they do all their videos, they do their podcast, they do all the editing, they do everything, right? But in
yeah.
the year of the horse, this strategy is not going to help you because you're not going to be able to move with the speed of the year. So this is the year where it'd be a good idea for you to hire people to help you with the things that you are not good at or the
Mm,
things that you are not fast at. Like,
mhm,
of course, I have the ability to do my own taxes. It would take me 3 months, right? Whereas hiring an
yeah,
expert is going to take them 2 hours. And so,
right.
in that sense, the things, don't try to DIY, do it yourself for those things that are not easy for you or that would take you too long. So,
Okay.
heart of a steed, mind of a general, and soul of a sage. Ground every action in ethical clarity. Let compassion be the check on your ambition, ensuring your legacy is one of what you have built and now not what you have burned to the ground, right? So the horse of fire has this potential to build beautiful things, and it also has the potential to burn everything to the ground.
Hmm.
And so the year of the horse demands authentic power, and authenticity again is that alignment with your life missions. It rewards those whose confident actions are built on real skill and guided by a moral compass, and it swiftly unravels those who are fraudulent, malicious, or adrift.
Hmm.
And so this is the double fire year. All the characteristics of the horse are going to be augmented. It's a young year, so it's a year for active energy. So people, the more gentle signs, right? The goat or the rabbit or the snake or the pig. This is a year that's not necessarily going to be the most comfortable.
Hmm.
And for those signs, the best thing to do is to do what the monkey, the rooster, and the goat did, that they made a raft and shared it. So they crossed the river together, right? So it's a good year to work in teams. Because if you think about the horse, the wild horse, um, they what do you call a group of horses? A band, I think, right?
Oh gosh, I don't heard.
They move in a band. It's
Yeah,
not
a
just
band.
one horse being
Yeah.
solitary, right?
Okay.
I think it is a band.
I don't
And
know.
so make your band, put your team together, and so that you can uh, do things
Mm,
faster and more easily, and so that everybody benefits. So it's about this idea of getting there together instead of me going ahead of everybody and being the winner, leaving everybody behind. It's not like that. This year is not like that. This year is about
mhm.
we're all going to get there together.
Okay. Mm, hmm. Good thing you have everything on your website.
Yes, because it's so
I
much, like, so much
can't remember.
information. Yeah, and we also did a reading of the I Ching for the year of the horse.
Mhm.
And I'm working on editing that video, so it's going to be soon. Probably by the time most people watch this video, it's already going to be on that web page.
Okay.
It's also interesting to see, that we got very good advice from doing that I Ching reading.
Yeah, it was very on target, I thought.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, well, very good. And one thing you'd said, just so people know, I'm in Moni's consultant training class,
yes,
and
yeah.
so all several of the people that were in the various classes she gives, she gave a preview type of the year of the horse and the I Ching reading and stuff. And but I had, and that was earlier this week. But one of the things I didn't catch that you said, and I was going to see if you could remember, it was you had said the snake investigates but doesn't expose, while the horse, and I didn't get what the horse
Oh,
did in comparison to that part of the snake of investigating but not
okay.
exposing.
So one of the things that I had said that was so accurate about the Year of the Snake is that there were going to be a lot of investigations, but nothing would see the light. And
Mhm,
that was so true. At least in the United States, that was completely true. So many
mhm,
investigations, but then the results of the investigations were not shown to the public. And so the Year of the Snake is a year of disguise until the very end, when the snake changes the skin, which is where we are at the moment of doing this video, right? And so at a national level, we saw all these investigations, but the snake is interested in getting to the bottom of an investigation, but the snake is not interested in making it public. The snake is interested in keeping the results for herself.
okay,
But in the year of the horse, the the horse was deceived, right? The horse was deceived by the snake, and he saw the snake going in front of him. So he was bumped a number because of the snake making it sooner than that. And the horse doesn't forget that.
okay.
And so one thing with the horse is not big on punishment. And I know there's a lot of people that I see on social media that they have focused their attention on some political or public figure that they really want to see punished, right?
Hmm. Sure.
But the horse doesn't punish. The horse banishes.
Vanishes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
So,
so
hmm,
what's likely to happen in this year is that people that do not that are not in alignment with the soul of the people they represent, they're probably just going to be forgotten,
huh.
and they're not going to be important or relevant anymore. The one characteristic about the year of the fire horse is that the horse attaches to power, but when one source of power weakens, the horse very quickly seeks another source of power and is no
Hmm,
longer concerned with that one.
hmm,
Yeah, and so
interesting.
the horse is not a sign of regret. It's not a sign of analyzing the past, and especially it's a sign that doesn't cry about the past.
Ah,
Leaves the past behind really quickly. But for a lot of people, being forgotten is worse than being hated, right? And
yeah.
that is in a way, this banishment is quote unquote a punishment that the horse exerts, right? Whereas the horse is not interested in seeing the other person suffer. Um,
Right.
but this just being left out of the conversation, that for a lot of people is a bigger punishment in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. Interesting. Um,
The year of the horse is a year so active. Fire crackles and goes up, and it's like if you ever went to a party where you had a lot of fun,
hmm.
the energy of the party was different from when you were getting ready to go to the party.
Mm,
And
yeah.
the energy of the next day is like, wow, that was a good party. But it's like, whew, am I glad I'm home?
Right.
It's kind of like that. That was a lot of fun. That I learned a lot. I did a lot. But at the end of the year of the fire horse, people tend to be like, "Whew, that was that was interesting," and now we're moving on to other things. So things that happened in the previous years of the fire horse. So the previous one was 1966. So my husband was born then. He's a horse of fire. The Cultural Revolution happened in China, which was very relevant to Feng Shui because the Cultural Revolution decided that Feng Shui was a superstition that had ruined China, among other practices, right? So most of the Chinese, the Feng Shui practitioners, if they were not captured, they had to go to other countries. They became
Mm,
refugees. And the government set out to purge both aspects of their own tradition, like Feng Shui, but also imports from Western culture. And that plunged China into a decade of chaos. It took them, I think, 3 decades to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Panther Party was founded in the Year of the Horse. And it folded, I believe, in the 1980s. And now, right now, they're starting a new Black Panthers Party in the United States.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also in TV, Star Trek was started in the 1966, and Batman TV show, and
Mm-hmm.
Dark Shadows, which was about the vampires.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember Dark Shadows. The other two I know well.
Yeah. I was crazy about Dark Shadows, especially because they wouldn't let me watch it because I was too little for it, you know. Um, so I was born in 1967. You know, but when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I was running on TV, and I so badly wanted to watch it. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
it's and you could say, you know, from these things that I have shared about the Year of the Horse of Fire, you can definitely say the time before that year and the time after that year.
Mm-hmm.
There were other things that were momentous that happened in terms of culture, where um, you could really see a huge difference in the energy of what came before and what came after. So another thing about the Year of the Horse is new ideas.
Mm.
And that's one reason what is really hard to predict what the ending of the Year of the Horse is going to look like, because some of the things that are going to happen we have never seen before.
Interesting.
So it's a time of new ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had also said at sometime that with the horse, it'll push you to make decisions, um, make them quickly, but be sure that you take the time you need to make a good decision. Don't
Well,
let yourself get
here's the
pushed.
thing, and here's a challenge in the Year of the Horse, because the Year of the Horse is kind of like going to be pushing you to action, right? And
Hmm.
so the idea that you're going to be thinking and planning in the Year of the Horse, that's not going to happen naturally. So you need to
Okay.
carve out time, and you need to carve out energy. So before you throw yourself in a particular direction, you are sure that's where you want to go.
Hmm.
Because in the Year of the Horse, you're gonna feel like you see signs, and you're gonna think, oh, this is the direction to go, and that's not necessarily true, but it's gonna
Oh,
feel like that. So what you don't want to
huh.
do is, embark on something and spend the next 3 months doing something that then doesn't pan out.
Right.
And so it's very important to make that conscious decision, to decide, okay, is this the right thing to do? And again, we go back to this alignment, right? The right
Hmm.
thing to do is the thing that is in alignment with what you came to do. And what you came to do is going to be changing in different moments of your life. Like you have grown kids, right?
Yes.
And I have kids that are younger than your kids, but they're adults, and day by day they're less involved with us. They're following their own dreams, and they're
Hmm.
they're looking for their own paths, and they have their own friends and loved ones. And so when your kids grow up and you're no longer a full-time mom, somebody told me, now you're an on-call mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're on call 24/7, but you don't even know what's happening a lot of the time. And then after this, needs to come a time when you are content with the situation. You are content with your days, your life no longer being devoured by the needs of your kids. And that's I think, especially for a mom, that is a very hard thing to do, and to start finding your own contentment and your own projects, and to find that alignment with your life missions, now that that part of your life is kind of done. Because when you have children, they become your life mission. Nothing is more important than them.
Right.
Everything else gets put on the back burner. Like, life is like, I don't care, you wanted to be a pianist, right now you need to go work at the grocery store as a cashier so you can pay the rent, whatever it is, right? And then one thing that has getting a little personal here, one thing that happened to me is I had my first child when I was 35, and my second at 38. And I remember when they were little, I remember thinking, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. Like a number
Hmm.
of things I had to give up because of the kids,
Yes.
and thinking, well, I'm going to give my whole attention to the kids because then when they're grown up, there will be time for all these other interests that I have, right?
Hmm.
And today, I can't remember what they were.
Well,
Yeah.
I had something similar,
Yeah.
just slightly different. Is that I called it my bucket list. As my kids were
Yeah.
growing up, it was like, um, and I was a single mom, so I don't know if that how that compares if I had less time or more time
Yeah.
than if you have a partner doing it. But it was like I would think I would see something I really wanted to do or whatever. And said, well, I'll do that when the boys are grown. I'll do that when the boys are
Yeah.
grown. And so that was on my bucket list. And when they were grown, it wasn't that I didn't remember those, but I looked at the things in my bucket list and it was that I don't want to do them anymore.
Yeah. And I can really resonate with that because if I can explain this a little bit better after listening to you, right?
Okay.
Some of the things that I wanted to do, I do remember what they were, but I don't remember the emotion. Like,
Okay.
I don't
Hmm.
remember the longing, like there was a particular place I wanted to visit and I couldn't go because they didn't allow kids. And now I don't have the motivation to go there, right?
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
when I say I don't remember, part of it is I don't remember the things because I didn't do a list. But I also don't remember the feeling of wanting to do them. And that I think is one of the biggest challenges of what they call here the empty nest is that now it's like, okay, who am I? And what do I want to do? What is my alignment today? Right?
Right.
What is my
Right.
alignment today? What is the thing that gives me joy that I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can't wait to do this, right? And also what are the things that I'm being called in to do for other people now that my service to my children is pretty much done. The service of raising them is done,
Hmm.
and of course, they still need you,
Sure.
on call, but not all the time. So the relationship there is very different. The energy is very different, and it's really hard to disconnect from that because it felt so good. It felt
Yes.
so
Yeah.
good to be needed. It felt so good to know what you were supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
And
it,
I
for
think
sure.
that's where the challenge is for us, with the year of the fire horse and any year, as the energies change, to say, okay, what would give me that happiness today?
Yeah, that's good. I like that for sure. So I think I had one more question. I can't read
Yeah,
it. I can't read my writing here. Um, and you had said, with all the things going on in the world events, the revolution, of the year
yeah.
of the fire horse, that the real revolution is inside us, right? Is our own growth or our own alignment.
Well, for most people, because there's going to be revolution in every single level. So it's going to be a revolution in your heart if you allow it, right? If you decide to ride with the energy, there can be very important changes in your heart, and your heart is what connects you to your high self, your the version of you that's the spirit of you, right? Like you in the Feng Shui, we understand the human being as a two-part soul, where the one part is your spirit and the other part is the body, that is the
Mhm.
gift of the earth. And so um, you can the only place in your body where you are really you, the spiritual being that you are, is in the hollow spaces of the heart.
Hmm.
The heart has four chambers, so those
Yes.
hollow spaces, that's where you are. That's why it feels so good to put your hand in your heart when you're
Hmm.
thinking about something or trying to make a decision, and you feel that feeling of being centered, right? And so you can open your heart with this fire energy. You can really take advantage of this double fire energy to really know, okay, why am I here to do? Who am I? What am I here to do? What is my next step to take, right? So at an internal level, but also at a family level, or at a partner level, to look at how are we living our life, and is this serving us? Or what changes do we need to make? And this comes down to the simplest things, the simplest things, like care. Like who's gonna do the dishes? How are you gonna do the dishes? And who's gonna do the cleaning? Do we need to maybe get help? Do we need somebody to come in and do those parts of cleaning that are the hardest for us, or the things
Mhm.
that we don't like to do? Or should we maybe start eating more at home? Should we cook more at home? Or maybe it's the opposite. Should we cook less at home and just enjoy going out to eat? The way you relate with that person and the way you relate to your community, to your city. One of the things, since the beginning of the year for us is January 1st, and by the 15th, most people have dropped their resolutions.
Mhm.
By the
Right.
middle of February, there's less than 20% of people that are still intent on their resolutions. But the
Mhm.
beginning of the Chinese year is a better time to start on those resolutions because you're going with the energy of nature. And so one of the things that I see people every year, they're saying, I'm going to move more. So I'm going to exercise more and I'm going to get
Yeah.
thinner or whatever, right? And the thing is, maybe it is the year to realize it's not about continuing to buy exercise equipment for home, because you really need to get that gym membership, because you're a social person and going to the gym would make you so happy, right?
Mm.
And for other people it may be the opposite. For other
Right.
people, maybe, this is the year where I'm really gonna repurpose that junk room and turn it into my yoga room, or I'll put a treadmill there. But to actually make changes in how you move and how you live, because movement is part of life and it's part of health. But the way it has been in the West, it has been hijacked by these standards of beauty, of being, right, that are really, really unhealthy. And so, and there's certain things that are recommended to do in Chinese medicine, when you get up in the morning, you bounce a little, and
Mhm.
that is called stirring the chi, like
Okay. Yeah.
like uh, like a blender, you're just shaking your body, stirring the chi, and just moving, in certain ways, just to let your major joints kind of like get oiled, and so that you can go through life with more energy and happier, right? And so I think doing a little bit of research on these ancient ancestral ways of being, of moving, maybe doing a little Tai Chi or Qigong, or taking a dance class, so that you can do movement in a way that makes you happy and that keeps you healthy. And focusing on happiness and health instead of how am I going to look like? Am I going to be able to fit a bikini for the summer? Which anybody can fit a bikini. It's just this idea that you have to look a certain way to wear a bikini if you want to wear a bikini, right? And so I think it's a year for transforming the way we see ourselves, the way we see the world, the way we interact. If you have a business with your clients, or if you volunteer for your church, what do you do there? So it's a good year to redefine yourself, to find out who you are, who do you want to be for the rest of your life? How do you want to use your time? What do you want to be known for when you finally drop this body?
Mhm.
And how do you want people to remember you? What do you want that to be your legacy, right? And for some people, that's going to be the people who remember them are just going to be their family members. And for other people, it's going to be the whole world, right? Looking at
Right.
the different like
Right.
the two ends of the spectrum.
Mhm.
But what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want to leave behind? So maybe there's a book in you that you want to write and you want to publish and have people read it. And for some people, they're going to write a book that's just for their grandchildren. And for other people, it's going to write a book that becomes a bestseller. But being able to write down your story, to put down your thoughts, is so healthy, right? So it's a good year for you to look for those transformations, to look for those changes. And it's a good year to shine. The fire element is about showmanship, right? So it's a
Mhm.
really good year for you to really explore different ways to promote your business if you have a business.
Hmm.
Do events live, do some public speaking, go meet people. It's a very good year for socializing and reaping the benefits of socializing and meeting people and making connections.
Okay.
It's a very social year. Now, for people who are introverts or people who are of those signs that are more quiet, right, they have to take breaks from this. they have to have moments of a public life and moments when they retire. Yeah.
So I have one more question. So, like the year of the horse starts February 17th. So
Correct.
how quickly do you notice the energy changes? Will it be right away that day, or is there like is it wax and wane like the moon, or
The
what do you think?
the energy is supposed to change instantly. Like
Okay.
today, we're still, as we're recording this, we're still in the year of the snake, and it's very much the year of the snake.
Hmm.
It's not it's not yet the year of the horse, because every animal is given its time. Every energy is given its time, and then you have a new beginning that is marked by a natural cycle. And some people are like, oh, I don't believe in astrology. That's all
Right.
superstition and right.
Hmm.
But if reality, or a great part of what we understand as reality, is what people in the world believe, right?
Hmm.
I think there's over 2 billion people in the world that follow the Chinese horoscope. I think there's more people in the world that follow the Chinese horoscope than follow the zodiacal astrology one.
Hmm.
And so if there's billions of people in the world that believe this to be true, that's going to move the energy of all of humanity.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, interesting. Well, very good. Moni, is there one final thought, or if not, then tell people how to get hold of you again. Or
Yeah. So the final thought is, go to my website, read all the information there, and just try and absorb it. Don't try to like study it line by line, but the first time around, try to absorb it and just allow like your brain to put it back together in the background. And then a few days later, go back to it, bookmark that page. So throughout the year, you can go back and see what happens. And when you go to my website, there's going to be invitation to get a guide on how to make your home better, and sign up for that so you can get my emails, and join my groups and different activities that we have going on. Because no matter what year it is, no matter what the energy, if you have a good feng shui in your home, the year is going to be happier.
for sure. For sure. Very good. Very good. So, thank you everyone for watching. And hopefully, this has been very helpful for you for the coming year. And we'll catch you next week.